Warning, this episode contains mild to heavy explicit spoilers. Listen at your own risk.
Reviews, discussions, and theories about films in horror, sci-fi, and genre. This is The Horror Deconstruction. Like, share, and subscribe to hear more.
Foreboding hiss breaks through grills of a CB radio. A lone seagull glides in the powerful winds of a rapid gale. The green vibrant land of a Cornish isle pops in the center of a blue sea. A lone woman in a red slicker and blue jeans exits her abode and takes measurements of a flower that sits just at the edge of a rocky terrain. A misshapen patch of greenery ominously lays in wait in the shadows. This woman tosses a stone down the well, noting when the noise reverberates as it makes contacts with its bottom. She checks the level of petrol in her generator and turns it on. She makes a cup of coffee as the radio blares, a spooky religious tune. She tucks into bed while reading a book about surviving. The woman tosses a stone down a well, noting when the noise reverberates as it makes contact with its bottom. She checks the level of petrol in her generator and turns it on. She makes a cup of coffee as the radio blares, a spooky religious tune. She tucks into bed while reading a book about surviving. The woman tosses a stone down the well, noting when the noise reverberates as it makes contact with its bottom. She checks the level of petrol in her generator as it turns it on. And she makes a cup of coffee as yes, you see, it's repetition. That's what happens. This is what I was and you are if you choose to be subjected to with Mark Jenkin's second feature, ENYS MEN, a baffling exercise in subduing an audience with repetition. Now, shot on 16mm and all sound being done in post, he continues his cinematic experimentation with using tricks to cover his lack of deep storytelling. Having somewhat enjoyed his 2019 film Bait, I've seen now a pattern emerge from Jenkin's film work. His gimmickry is far more entertaining than the lackluster writing involved. The visual palette is beautiful, the aesthetic of the 16mm footage is niche and hypnotic, the post-recorded sound has that giallo nostalgia, the acting is well done, the framing is quite gorgeous, but that's it. A delicious-looking cake with heaps of uncooked batter within. ENYS MEN centers around the unnamed volunteer keeping tabs on the flora of an uninhabited island off the Cornish coast. It's 1973, the waves crash and batter the rocky terrain this woman effortlessly does her rounds on in a Chekhov's unused gun routine. And that's what this film is. It's routine. Repeating. I've read Jenkins wrote this in 3 days and it shows. It's high school level writing in a college thesis mask. Now I have no problem with repetition in film as long as it leads to something. It only leads to more questions about the material in this case. Questions such as, what is this flower she is researching? What is this giant rock pillar that haunts the island? Who is this mysterious seaman that she's probably had an affair with? Why do the 7 maids on her tin of dried milk physically show up around her sometimes? Or why do the 7 ghosts of a wrecked ship smile at her? Why is she talking to the younger version of herself? Why did she jump off a roof when she was younger and cause a lengthy scar on her belly? What is the purpose of the book she's reading other than to kill time? Who is she talking to besides the seaman on the CB radio? Why after touching the flora does she have similar fungus growing from her scar? What is the significance of the lichens on the plant on the island? Why don't I have co-hosts anymore? Why does she throw rocks down the well? Why does a children's choir serenade her doppelganger as she watches on? Why do some random ghosts take dumps in her toilet? Why is the priest singing while holding a baby? None of these questions are really answered. They're actually not answered. So the film is to be left to interpretation. Now, I'm completely fine with mysterious, unanswered stories. I quite enjoy movies like Von Trier's Antichrist or Evil Dead Trap 2. 2 films that use baffling imagery to tell a story. But at least they have a story. David Lynch confuses me sometimes, but you know what? I enjoy it. Not because it's probably cool to enjoy it, but it's actually enjoyable. I do have to compare this to 2019 Robert Eggers' film The Lighthouse because they have the same sort of blueprint in terms of aesthetic, but Eggers chooses to use coherency in his story, and I understand what's going on. In this case, I can only come to the conclusion that Jenkin has concocted a ghost story in which he knows every single answer for everything, but not letting anyone else know about it. Are the ghosts here because of the invasive lichen algae spreading across the island? Do the spirits continue to exist as long as the greenery does? Now that's a fun sort of guesswork you can do on this type of movie if the movie made questioning worth it. Other than that, it's a collection of images locked together to say nothing. It's a very beautiful looking movie in terms of camera work and the lovely grain, but that's about it. If you played this at a museum, it would make a great video installation, but as a film, it truly is a test of keeping one's wits. Maybe I'm being completely dumb and inconsiderate for a filmmaker to spread their wings and do their thing. I'm just saying I didn't connect with this. There are the film's defenders, so that's good that somebody enjoyed this, and I didn't. Mary Woodvine is excellent in this because she can act the hell out of standing there, but it's essentially a Sims character in a nightmare mode. Apparently, the storyline is inspired by the Merry Maiden Stone Circle in Cornwall. So now I shall quote the trivia from IMDb. Director Mark Jenkin said that he was inspired by the Merry Maiden Stone Circle in Cornwall. He said he grew up nearby the stone circle as well as the two tall stone statues of the pipers nearby. They scared him as the child. The local myth about the creation of the stones is that 19 maidens were turned into stone as punishment for dancing on the Sabbath, which is Sunday, and the two piper statues were the men playing music for the maidens. Now, does that answer the question of the film? For me, it doesn't. And if you enjoy film about interpretation, you can have all you want with this. I kind of found it boring and stilted. A real miss from a director who has an incredible talent in lensing a film, but not much in writing them. 3 out of 10, touching the forbidden flower. This has been the Horror Deconstruction.